Hey, hey, it's just being the Joneses.
Hey, what up? What up?
And we are back with another episode. And this time we have a guest, my good friend,
Yay, hey girl. Hey.
Renita is here with us today for this episode's topic about being happily single. And so it's kind of like a hot topic because a lot of people are really happily single today. And a lot of times that's looked at as like giving that you've given up on relationships.
Yeah.
So we're gonna talk about that
Oh,
today.
that's good.
Mm.
Yeah. So um now I know
Is that what people actually saying?
what that is.
Yes.
Giving up on relationships because you're single, or is that one of the just what people? Yeah, that's one of the beliefs people are.
Well, that's one of the beliefs that people are get. One thing is that people have given up on relationships because they, like a lot of people say that they prefer to be they're better off. They just prefer to be single than in a relationship or whatever. But I think that you can be like I know when I was single, I was not miserable being single.
Right.
I wanted to be in a relationship, but I wasn't miserable being single. So at that time, I was just content in what the my relationship status at that time, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So with that being said, like, what do you think when you hear that?
Wow. I hear it a lot, especially on social media. It gives us a place where people can just give their public opinion about it. And one of the things about um that is it's a stigma. Like if you're single, and in my case, single with no kids at the same time, it's like, oh, you really just giving up on all of it. You don't want a relationship, you don't want kids, you don't want this. And it's like, no, I haven't given up on anything. I desire a relationship, but my relationship status doesn't define who I am as a person. And I think that people attach who they are to their relationship status, and that's unfortunate.
Yeah,
Mm.
now
So.
that's a good one because you make it that. So you're saying that a lot of people attach, or even people that's like people may look at you and attach this, or people may the actual person may attach that singleness as a part of their identity.
Right. Right.
Okay.
Right. So
Um.
they'll say you gave up because they're like, "Oh, you're just saying that because you're hurt or you're bitter or you're not really happy um and you can't be happy single." And it's like, "What you mean? Like, why
Mhm.
can't I be happy single?" And that's because some people really truly define themselves by their relationship status.
Mm.
Yeah. So I think that so for my own personal opinion, like I wholeheartedly believe that you could be single and happy because happiness should first come within from within, right?
For yourself, you should be happy with yourself. Yeah.
You're right.
Yeah. And so but I think that a lot more people would be more open to a lot of people who's happily single would be more open to relationships if it wasn't for the disappointment that a lot of relationships have brought them.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, I agree with that. And like you said, you have to be happy within yourself because um you have to be okay with being alone. That's why a lot of people jump from relationship to relationship and they don't give themselves a chance to heal or breathe or, you know, be alone by themselves in their singleness. So they don't even know how to be happy by themselves because they don't give themselves time to do that. To see themselves alone. So they don't go out by themselves. They might not even go to dinner alone. Some people feel weird doing stuff like that. And if you're happy within yourself, none of those things or who you're with, that doesn't define you. And some people, they don't know how to do that because some people, from when they, left their parents' house, they were with someone. And
Mm-hmm.
so some people had a roommate, and then they went from roommate to who they're dating, or they started dating, or they got married, or, young, and then, or they started shacking up young, and so, or they had kids young, so they've never been like totally alone. So they might not understand how it feels to just be happy by yourself. Um, because they'll
Hmm.
feel lonely,
Yeah.
when they're alone.
Yeah, and you know what? That's a good point because I feel like I struggled with stuff like that. Like, so when I got married, of course, at 19, so I went straight from my mom's house to being a wife, and then I also had kids. So when me and my ex was no longer together, like I wasn't comfortable with going and sitting down places by myself to eat, or going and sitting down because I was always with either friends
Hmm.
or you know him or the kids or something. So it was like going to sit down somewhere and eat and stuff like that. Or like some people are very comfortable with going to the movie. I'm still not 100% comfortable with going to the movie, something like that by myself. But because I like
But
to have somebody to enjoy the movie with. But
right,
I would do it. But it's just like I actually got comfortable with going doing certain things by myself while I was married to this man here. So
right,
And I felt the same way when I was single. It was just when I first got divorced, yeah, it was I felt the same way about like going out to restaurants and movies, places like that where you would normally be with somebody. It felt kind of weird going up to the hostess and be like, "Table for one," you know. Don't say it loud. Let's sneak over there. Just discreet to find me a table. But yeah, it did feel weird, but I got used to it. I knew I wanted to do that. I wanted to do those things. I didn't want to just wait until I had somebody or I had a date or anything like that. I wanted to get used to doing those things alone by myself, being happy with myself, being comfortable doing those things. Because
Mhm.
you should. There shouldn't be
right.
any shame or embarrassment or anything like that. A feeling of just, if you want to go somewhere by yourself, if that's what you want to do, that makes you happy and being single, happy being single, then you should be able to do those things.
Yeah. Yeah, because
Exactly.
I definitely struggled with the whole doing certain things alone. Like I literally probably didn't go sit down and eat in a restaurant by myself. Like when probably like maybe what's this 2025, maybe like 10 years ago was when I started going and sitting at places and eating like by myself and feeling comfortable doing that. Like on lunch breaks and stuff. Other than that, I would like get my food and just eat in my car or something.
Mm-hmm.
Well, part of that for me, when you go to a restaurant, I started going to the bar because, and y'all know I don't drink, but I would go to the bar because when you sit at a table by yourself, sometimes people will look at you and they automatically judge in your head. Oh, she got stood up, like he got stood up on the date, like, and you like, I'm just here by myself chilling, like I'm
Yeah.
enjoying my own company.
And you hear a table laughing, you're sweaty laughing at you or something.
Right, right. Yes, it's such a stigma behind it, and
Yeah,
it's like be okay being by yourself. It's okay.
it's
I don't,
very
and I
okay.
always say I don't promote this whole I don't need a man, or I don't need nobody. I can do this world by myself. No, you actually need people. God blesses us through people, right? So I
Mhm.
don't want to be alone, right? I have a lot of friends and stuff, but sometimes being by myself, and a lot of my friends are married, right? Like you
Yeah.
guys. They're married and they have kids, and like a lot of my friends, like they go on vacation with their family and their kids. So sometimes it's just me, and I'm okay with that. I don't make my friends feel bad because their situation is different than mine. I just fell in love with what does Renita like to do, like
Mhm.
things that I like to do for myself, or like I say, I'm a foodie, so that I'll take myself to dinner. I'll go
Mhm.
to the park and walk my dog by myself. I do certain things. If somebody want to come along, great. If not, I'm okay because I'm still gonna do what I was gonna do for myself. And it taught me to figure out what do I like to eat, you know, instead of getting other people's opinions on certain things. What type of movies do I like and don't like, right? Because I don't like scary movies, and people like, oh, I want to go see that. I'm like, no, I'm good, you know. So you got to learn what you like, and I've learned that as extroverted as I am, I like to decompress, and sometimes that's just being at home, and I'm happy sometimes just being at the house, like, you know, reading a book, you know, and so you have to know what those things are. And I think sometimes either we don't take the time to figure out who we are, or we allow what's happening in the world or what people think to kind of sway our decision about where we are, you know.
Yeah, yeah. And it's a lot of benefits, just like it's benefits that come along with being in a relationship. It's a lot of benefits that come along with being single too. And a lot of times people, I remember, it's so crazy how people look at that so negative. So like I remember being or I was looking at a group, like it was a group on social media and for my area. And I don't know, I forgot what the topic was, but I remember commenting on a post. And this guy came on the post and said, I could tell you're gonna be single for the rest of your life. Mind you, I'm married.
So,
And I and he said, and I'm thinking, if I was single, you know what I'm saying? That could have been like either a big hit to me if I wasn't confident in my singleness, you
mhm,
know, or even if I was single, and like who's to say that I would, how does he know that I even wanted to be in a relationship? So that's the
right,
thing. Like everybody assumes that, you know, every single person wants to be in a relationship,
Yeah.
or is something wrong with you if you're not.
Yeah.
right, right.
Like you said,
I it's
obviously, but I mean, it was just that was a very crazy. That something a grown person would say that. I could tell you're gonna be single for the rest of your life. I mean, what does that even?
Yeah. And I forget what the
That's like,
topic was about, but you know, some men think that they know all, they think just like all men.
yeah,
I mean, like all men think like
mhm,
them. And I know it was something along the lines of, I knew that it was my input or my about something that had to do with relationships, but I knew you agreed with me on it because I remember us talking about it. So
yeah,
it was like, so sometimes men think that all men think the same. Oh, I'm a man, so I know, or whatever. So with that, he was just kind of like, "Oh, I could tell you're gonna be single for the rest of your life."
yeah. Or if you don't agree with his way of thinking, then you're
Yeah,
not a real man or something like that, or something wrong
yeah,
with you as a man. You know, you soft or something because you don't think this way. But
yeah.
yeah, that's
So
crazy.
man. Pray for the single people like me, because that does happen a lot. I have gotten to a point now that I'm very careful on what I post, or if I post anything or comment on posts, because people are very cruel. That I call them internet gangsters, you know, because they wouldn't most things that they say online they wouldn't probably wouldn't say to your face. And but it's very hard for us sometimes, because people do say things like that often. I hear that often, like, "Oh, well, you gonna be single," you know, and it's like, "Oh,
mhm.
okay," you know, like. And
Yeah,
for me, I have thick skin, and I don't allow that to bother me. I'm very clear that whatever God has for me, it's gonna happen for me. And you know, but some people, that really plays the tape in their head that maybe I'm not gonna get anybody. Maybe I'm the problem, because this is what I believe. Just because it's something that's different than what someone else believes doesn't mean
mhm,
that it's wrong, right?
mhm.
Somebody will like it, like you say, your
Yeah,
husband agrees with you. I have friends, their husband is totally against some of the things that, you know, they say on the internet should be law, right? Men
mhm,
law or women law, or you know, because I don't agree with all the things that some single women say, like when they say they don't need a man or they don't want anybody, and you know, and certain things they say about his financial status has to be this or that. That's not the opinion of every woman either. Um, and so yeah, it's unfortunate, but yeah, definitely pray for us. Okay.
yeah, yeah. Well, you know, like two things can be true.
Mhm.
One, two things could be true at once, and a lot of times people take one thing and feel like only that one thing could be true. So two things could be true. You can be happy and content being single in that phase of your life,
Yeah.
and also want to have a relationship, but just unwilling to settle for just anything that comes along. Because truth be told, anybody could be in a relationship. Everybody
More
could be in a
people.
relationship.
Yeah, you're right about that. More people could definitely be in relationships. I mean,
So,
a lot of times it's easy, but
because you hear the women say, "I'd rather have a piece of man than not one at all."
yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So it's about like, I think a lot of people are being patient,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
and I'm not at all saying that like some people, like everybody has flaws,
Right.
Absolutely.
and everybody has things that some people are single because they're like, I want to heal some things first,
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
which is good.
Patience is definitely key, though, I think, because I know I was patient when I was single. I've met women and I dated women who they were good women. They just weren't for me.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Sometimes that's just how it is.
Mm-hmm.
They be cool and everything, but it's just something about them that maybe they just not for me long term.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, patience, that's definitely important.
Yeah, and I get it because that's the same thing. Like, I was talking to a guy and he was upset because this woman didn't want to be in a relationship with him, and he automatically went on this rant that, oh, women, they be talking about they want a good man, but they just really want dogs. And I'm like, well, just because you're a good man don't mean you're the man for her though.
Exactly. Yeah.
She cannot necessarily have to want a dog just because she don't want you.
Yeah.
Right.
Like, you just not
Right.
compatible for her,
Yeah.
Right.
you know. So every good man is not going to be for everybody, and every good woman is not going to be for everybody.
That's right.
So you got
Yeah.
tons of good men and women out there, but that don't mean they made for each other. Every good man and woman made for every good man and woman. So
It can
Yeah.
be upsetting though. Yeah.
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 Yeah. One of the things I often say is a good person does not equal a good fit. You
Hmm.
know, just because you might be a triangle and they might be a square and they just the puzzle pieces just don't fit, y'all
Right.
That's
just
right.
don't align. Your beliefs might be different,
Hmm.
what you want out of life might be different. I have a friend that their goal is to travel a lot and live overseas. If somebody doesn't want to do that and they are either close knit with their family or they want to stay in the United States, that's their choice, right? And so
Hmm.
that doesn't mean that that's not a good person. It just means we're not compatible,
Bad time.
Yeah.
So,
Bad. Maybe not right now. Just
right.
it just isn't ready yet. Yeah.
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 Yeah. Because it definitely different things that make people that that everybody's just not compatible in every area, or whatever. So it's just like that. You got people that are good people, but then religious things may separate them from being in a
Hmm.
relationship.
Hmm.
So you can have two single people. That's just like at church. So, like, I don't know if your church have a singles ministry or not, Renita.
We do. It's not necessarily a ministry, but we do things for singles. Like we just had a conference in March that they do for the month of March, that they talk to singles, and they do one for the married. So they'll split us off, married plus singles. So
Okay.
yeah, it's pretty cool. Hmm.
Yeah. And so just because you meet good, I'm sure you meet a lot of good people at church, but that don't mean that you want to be in a relationship with everybody at church you meet. Right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. The same for me because a lot of the guys, in church, especially at my church anyway, a lot of the men are 30s and younger, right?
Mm.
That are single, because by the time they hit their 40s like me, they're married, most of them. So they're not even on that side, because when I was looking at the singles, which was the bigger crowd, was the single people, which we thought was interesting, but um it was a bigger crowd. But when you look in the crowd, it's like, oh, these guys are like young, like
Hmm.
younger, you
Mm.
know. And so they're looking at the younger women, which is great because that's gonna be good
Hmm.
to date each other because they're around the same age range.
Yeah.
So yeah, so that's another thing too. So I'm um going back to what you said, Boston, y'all mentioned the word content. I looked it up, and content is a state of peaceful happiness, um, and satisfied, in a state of satisfaction. Um, and so I've learned to be peacefully happy with where
Mm-hmm.
I am in my singleness because um recognizing that, what with my age group, my demographics where I live, it's certain different factors. I don't really go out a whole lot, so it's not like the man gonna knock on my door, right? Like
Yeah.
it's certain things,
Well, you
you know,
never know. It could be you.
right? It
Not.
could be the house man,
That's it. Could
but,
happen.
right. But yeah, so that's I look at all those factors and I'm just like, God, I'm just gonna be patient, like you said, and just wait on you, and in the wait, be happy with myself, you know?
Hmm.
So yeah.
Yeah. And so also like, what's y'all opinion on this? Because I've I've had somebody told me that they don't do dating sites
Hmm.
because they they feel like if they do a dating site, then they are trying to find a man instead of allowing a man to find them.
I don't think there's anything wrong with dating sites. That's just a modern day dating. Really, I mean,
So you know how people say the Bible says he who findeth the wife finds a good thing. So then
yeah.
they say if I'm on a dating site, then I'm trying to find a man instead of allowing the man to find me.
Well, he gonna find it if he on there. You know
Yes,
what I'm
that's right.
saying? Like he
That's what
got,
I'm thinking. Yeah, that's
cause
my thought
he
process.
gonna swipe, and he gonna hit the like button too. Like it's not, you might click on him because you like him, because that kind of, I've been on a couple, like it kind of helps the profile to know what you like, so they'll try to send those same type of people to you, and so with that you have to hit the button, right? It's a part
Mhm.
of like the algorithm of it all.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
However, it's still up to the man once the conversation part starts. It's still up to the man to like interact with you.
yeah,
He has to hit the button.
Yeah.
Even if you hit it first, if he don't hit it back, then okay, he's not it, right? But
yeah,
then if a guy like you, because I have guy friends that are on those sites too, and one of the things they say is sometimes the women will hit the button on them, and then when they hit it back, then they're the ones who are like, hey, how you doing? Like, they start
yeah.
engaging. That's what men do. So I
That was
think
my
sometimes
experience.
people take that too literal.
Hmm.
um
Yeah,
yeah,
me
I think,
too.
yeah.
I agree. I agree. I agree. You
Yeah.
don't understand the amount of time I done spent in different situations saying y'all taking that scripture out of context now.
Right. Way too literal. Like
Like
that's
you
not
just
what it means.
and I guess I wanted to make sure that I wasn't biased on it because I'm a woman who did not have an issue of like flirting with somebody or letting somebody know I was interested in them. Like I've never had an issue with that. So I still feel like if they found a wife, if I married them and they still found me, they found a wife. They got one, so they found them.
Got it, yeah.
You know, however it may
Right.
have
You met somewhere.
happened. Yeah.
Right. Right. Yeah, my
We
first
help make it
lady,
easy for.
my first lady said she met my pastor. They had met each other before in the past. They ran into each other again, and he was like, she actually approached him. So I asked her, I said, I asked her later on, I said, what did you say? Like, what? And she said, I was real. She said I was still like ladylike about it. Like I wasn't all like, hey, yo, we gonna date. Like, I
Yeah.
wasn't like, I wasn't too like forceful or anything. She said, I just asked him, I said, I would love for us to go grab some coffee, you know? And he was like, oh, really? You do? Okay. Like, that's what he was like. Well, let me get your number. He still, felt like the guy, in the situation. Like, she was like, it was just the hint of
Yeah.
letting him know I'm interested,
Right. I'm
you
interested.
know?
And see,
Right.
that's another thing. Like you can be it that is what I mean by two things could be true at once. Because you can be happy and content and at peace being single, but then still, put yourself in positions to be
Hmm.
to date, And I think when you're content, when people are content with their singleness, or being single, then they are more patient with the people they choose to.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's good. Now, that is very good, because it's some people feel like if somebody, gets my number and we hang out, then we automatically start dating. And it's like, no, wait. Like you gotta know if you like them. Like be their friend first, So I'm very selective in who I date. One, because I know how my relationship with God is set up, and if it's no, he's gonna make them disappear anyway. But I just know that there's certain characteristics that they have to have based on what I've been through in my life, and where I know God's taken me, all the growth I've done on myself. So I won't just settle for, oh, they like me and I'm alone and I want somebody to go to dinner with, because I take myself to dinner. So
Yeah.
if they don't, if they're not a fit, they're not a match. If I could tell that they already like have characteristics about themselves that I don't necessarily want for myself, because what one of me and one of my friends said one day, was, you have to know what you like, and that's another part of being happy with yourself. If you don't know what you like, you'll like anything. Like you'll pick up anything and just be like, oh, okay, yeah, I like it. And then you realize later on down the road you don't, but you didn't give yourself a chance to not like it, right?
That was boss out
Um,
there picking up these trays, and I saved him. Not for I'm just
them
joking.
straight, just straight dogs and cats, right? But, but
Oh boy. Here you go.
that's hilarious. That's so hilarious. Oh my God. That's funny. That's funny for more than one reason. But God, I know I used to pick up a few stray dogs back in the day myself. But I learned from that, right? And so some
Hey, you ain't
people,
been
they
to get
just,
pick up no straight.
right,
Hey, I have to.
right. And that's why I'm laughing. But but thank God for growth, right? Look
Yeah.
what he doing.
Yes,
But
he
yeah,
is.
I have done, because of that experience, and I know that I no longer want to pick up strays, right? I look at them like, nope, this isn't a fit. And instead of prolonging what we know is gonna happen, I just say, you know what? I don't think this is gonna be a good fit,
Wait,
you know?
hold on. So, are we defining the strays as people that we are messing around with, or spending time with that we know good and well we don't want in a relationship?
That's what
Yes,
I'm talking about.
Okay.
That's what I'm talking about. Yeah. Somebody who
yes.
no good and well don't stand a chance.
Right. Y'all know they don't. And it's like some people will use it for a date, or, like we gonna go to dinner. Somebody, you got an event coming up, you don't want to go by yourself. So you gonna let the stray go with you because you don't want to go by yourself, right?
Or
They
to
look
scratch that itch.
decent enough, right? Or they scratch that itch, right? They were like, well, they good for something.
They might be good
But I
for
ain't
one,
taking
yeah,
them
one
around
little
my
thing here
mama
and there,
them,
but
right?
not long time.
They're not long term. And so that's, yeah, so I don't even do that anymore. I don't entertain um any of that, because I also at this point in my life look at it like, well, if I'm entertaining a stray, then what if the real deal come along and they see me with the stray? Like they gon' I'm gonna miss out on the real thing because I'm focused on
Boss
something
ain't
that's
care
not.
nothing about my stray.
He didn't care nothing about it, honey. He came on in and saved the day. Look at boss. That's why his name boss. There it is. There we go.
But yeah, but that's true though. They could think that you involved or whatever. That it's they, they everybody ain't trying to. Some people may see that and look at it as you off limits or something.
Right.
So they can be getting
Yeah,
in the
that's
way.
funny.
And that goes back to the patience part, what we talked about earlier. Being
Hmm.
patient and being able to be patient with yourself so that you can be patient with who you want in the
Right.
long run. So you're not out here just picking up thinking you have to settle for the stray.
Mm,
Right.
So,
mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah,
Right. And
yeah,
yeah.
they
And
be.
even people that's not compatible,
Oh yeah.
right? That they're not compatible with you.
all right,
Like
yeah.
I had this conversation a few weeks ago, and they really were shocked that I said this. I said, if somebody told me that they didn't like dogs, they didn't want to be around a dog, they didn't, and I do understand people have real fears of dogs. I get it. I'm
Mm-hmm.
not trying to change you. and I don't want you to try to change me. So it's something like, my dog is like my child because I've had my dog since she was 2 months old. So in my
Hmm.
mind, I'm like, well, if you tell me that and we have the conversation, that's not something that you're gonna change because that's where you are.
Mm-hmm.
That's not something I'm gonna change. I'm not gonna be like, oh well, Coco, it's been real. I gotta go.
Yeah, right.
Like, what? So,
That's right.
but some people try to make that fit. Like, well, they're
Yeah.
gonna love my dog. Like, what?
Mhm.
People do that with their own kids. Like, you meet people, they're like, they don't like kids, they don't want kids, and then all of a sudden you get with them and you still with them, hoping that they change their mind. No, like, let them
Yeah.
be great where
Or
they
you
are.
weren't trying to force them to have a relationship like you want them to have with their child when they like to me. I feel like if you don't like kids, then you just don't belong with somebody who have them,
Right,
because that's just a whole nother layer of that family unit,
Yeah.
right. Right.
so
Or somebody that wants them. Even on the dating app y'all talked about. So it's so detailed now that you can see if they have kids, do they want kids? And it even has an option um that open to children. That means, whether I
Mm.
have them or not, it's okay, right?
hmm
And then some of them is like, I want kids, and some like, I don't want kids. And so when you click on the people, if you see that it's something that you know in your heart does not align. Stop looking at how fine they are, right? And look
hmm
at what you want. And that's another part, like you said, being patient and not settling and being happy with yourself. And not only being happy with yourself, but being happy with what you want and what you desire. Because God put those desires in your heart. So if you know that, be happy with that. And if that person doesn't align with that, why would you click on them? Why would you even say that, whether it's somebody you meet online or in person? And they tell you that and you know that doesn't align with what you want, then it's time to let it go. Like, and I think that people don't take the time to love themselves enough to not settle for something they know in the long run is gonna bring them pain or is not gonna be good for them or the person.
yeah, that's true. That's so true.
Yeah.
But
Don't want to waste nobody's time.
yeah, so I mean, I'm loving the whole uh, seeing that a lot of people are happy and content where they are in their life right now when it comes to their relationship status and being single, and it's not a bad thing. And a lot of people are becoming more self-aware that way too of what they do want when they get, they've had single people, everybody who's been single. When we were single, we were single after we were in relationships. Like, we experienced relationships, so we know some stuff about relationships and being in relationships. So, but at this phase in that single phase, it's a lot of positive things that can be happening, or that, so people who are actually happy and content in it, I am happy to see that. And so hopefully, and I know those who are trying to get there, because for some people it's a struggle, especially people who are newly single, or different things like that. It can be a struggle, and it can take some time to get to that place where you're like, okay, I'm comfortable, or content being in this, being single right now. But don't let anybody make you feel bad for being in that place in your life right now.
That's right.
Right. That's
So,
right.
yeah. So if that's where you are, then you can maximize your peace in that season that you're in, and your growth, and everything else. And so I hope that there was a lot of takeaways from this podcast topic today.
Mhm.
Me too.
Renita, thank you for all of the things that you said, all the gems that you
Yes.
dropped.
Yes.
And I'm sure somebody can find what you're saying very, very helpful and useful to them. And we definitely appreciate you taking the time and opportunity to join us today.
I do too. If I could leave y'all with one thing, can I just tell the people, please enjoy your singleness.
Hmm.
Because when you do get married, then and or have kids or both, then you can no longer be selfish, right? You
Mm-hmm.
have to give of yourself to be with that person and help them. Um, and right, so right now, if you just want to take a nap or want to go to the movies or whatever you want to do, you're free to do it.
Mm-hmm.
So enjoy that. Enjoy that time. To yourself. Even though I know as married people, y'all have that respect and love for each other where y'all do stuff with your friends and by yourself and stuff too, but it's just different,
Yeah.
So enjoy that time that you have to do it so you're not a woulda, shoulda, coulda, and you're I'm glad I did enjoy my time when I was single.
Yeah.
So
And
you can
now
embrace it when you get married. So,
right. Exactly. You now I can enjoy this time. Now I moved to a different season in my life where, now it's somebody here every single day.
That's
And
right.
now I can enjoy that
right,
part.
right,
so
right.
so yeah. But yeah, enjoy your singleness as Miss Renita said. And if y'all have any comments, leave them in below or leave them depending on where you're listening, wherever that comment box is. Leave your comment and let us know what you think. And we are out. It's just being the Joneses.
Peace.